Hi there, it's Erica here, and here is a video answering the question, which phone should I buy? I get this question from time to time from family, friends, co-workers, etc. And this is often when they're looking to upgrade their devices. So of course, when they ask me, I have to think about the major players in the game, which include iPhone and Android products. So for the sake of this video, we'll just look at the major brands, including iPhone and Android phones. Now let's look at the pros for the iPhone or iOS. So the first point here is that they make well-built devices. So most of their devices are made out of metals, and they also have glass backings to them, so they're pretty delicate. So in the case of iPhones, if you are going to invest in one, you need to have a good case. The next point, you get updates for years, so it has a lot of longevity. So as of the recording of this video, 2020, the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus was made in 2015, and it will receive the next update, the software update, which is iOS 14. So if you look at it that way, that would make 5 years of updates up until this point. Also consider the fact that they have a lot of security updates and patches, so they make sure that their devices are well covered from viruses. So if there is something out there that affects iPhones or other smartphone devices, Apple makes sure to push out an update so that your device will be secure. Their devices also have fast processors, so the current devices, which are the iPhone 11 and 2nd Gen SE, has the A13 Bionic chip. And according to Wired.com, it says it has a quad-core graphics processor, an LTE modem, an Apple-designed image processor, and an octa-core neural engine for machine intelligence functions that can run over 5 trillion operations per second. The Apple App Store is a lot more robust. If there are any new apps being released, typically they go to the App Store first. They also have a very rigorous vetting process for their apps. So it's not to say that they don't have trash apps on their store, but for the most part, they make sure that they have quality apps on their store. So you don't have any issues, or not many issues, with getting device bugs or anything that you don't want. The camera on the iPhone is really nice. I know they had a lot of issues in the past with low lighting, and the S Plus that I have right now does have issues with taking quality pictures in low light. So that is something that they've been working on when it comes to their newer devices. But the iPhone 11 currently has a 12 megapixel front and back camera, a 4K recording capability, 60 frames per second, portrait mode, and night mode. They also have iCloud, which is a cloud storage and cloud computing service by Apple. And on it, you have photos that can be backed up to the cloud, your files, notes, music, a whole lot. And when you buy new devices, of course, you get 5 gigs free. But if you need more storage, of course, they offer an upgrade for that. AirDrop is another Apple feature which enables the transfer of files among supported computers and iOS devices without using email or a mass storage device. So with AirDrop, you don't have to have someone's phone number. You can just be near another iOS device and you can pretty much send them a file, larger files even, to their device without having to text it or email, etc. Apple has iMessaging, which is really nice because you are able to create group messages with like devices. You can also have devices that are Android on there, but when it comes to the all Apple group iMessages, you have a lot of capabilities within it. You also have access to screen effects, which are nice because it allows you to have like a confetti background or balloons or what have you to open up on iOS devices. So when you send it iOS to iOS, then of course that person can see all of the cool effects. You also have access to stickers, GIFs or GIFs, and you also have emojis and memojis. They also have Apple Pay, which is very nice. So you can send payments to individuals, Apple product to Apple product, so iOS to iOS. And you can do that through text messages. So example, if you owe someone $20, all you have to do is pull up the widget or the little Apple Pay app through iMessage and send it directly to them. Apple Pay is also available on websites as well as paying using contact points at stores. So it's like a touchless transaction in a sense. But sometimes you still have to put in your PIN number. For the most part though, you don't have to pull out your card. You can just use your phone and use that feature to tap on the Pay portal. Apple also has really nice accessibility for individuals that have disabilities. For example, some of the features include voice control, voice over, Zoom, magnifiers, RTT and TTY support, Siri and dictation, type to Siri, switch control, closed captioning, assistive touch, and speak screen. Some may not know, but I am a teacher and I do teach students that are visually impaired and blind. So as a part of my teaching, I expose my students to accessibility through technology, and what we use mostly is the iPad, the iPhone, the iPod Touch, and the Mac computers. And just to let you know how capable Apple is when it comes to accessibility for the blind, the voiceover feature is really helpful because it allows blind people to access the iPhone, for example, or iPad by listening only. So you don't have to have sight to use your iPhone. You can text, you can make calls, you can access websites, etc. I really enjoy using the Notes app on iOS, and what I like about it is that it's very convenient, number one, and number two, you can sync and share your files. So your notes can sync between your iPad, your iPhone, and your Mac computer. You can also share and edit notes with other iOS users. Apple also has the iWork suite, which is their version of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and theirs is called Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. So they have apps for all of the programs, and you can also use it on the desktop or laptops. The next point about Apple devices is their resale value. So for example, at the recording of this video, a 6S Plus 128 gigabytes unlocked is going for $300. So that's the beauty of Apple products. They age very well and they keep their value. So if you ever want to upgrade, you can do that easily and resell it with no problem. They also have FaceTime, which is a video calling feature on Apple. As long as you're calling from Apple device to Apple device, you're okay. But you cannot call from Apple device to Android device or Apple to any other smartphone that is not Apple. So that's the only thing when it comes to FaceTime. That ecosystem that they have kind of restricts your ability to use it outside of Apple products. Apple devices also have Siri, which is a virtual assistant that helps you to get answers to questions. You can check the weather, you can confirm flights, you can perform searches, you can answer questions, you can complete actions, you can send messages, and a whole lot more. And what I really like about Siri is that it has a Spanish translation. So I just asked it, hey Siri, how do you say my name is Erica in Spanish? And it'll tell you. And depending on how bored you are, Siri also tells jokes. So you can ask Siri to tell me a joke or knock knock, and then she'll, respond to that. Or why did the chicken cross the road? So it's a whole bunch of commands you can Google. But yeah, Siri, she has a fun side to her as well. Apple also has accessories under their brand. So if you need a case with an external battery on it, they sell those. You can also buy the Apple Watch, you can buy wireless chargers, you can buy creativity devices. So if you have the iPad, you can use the iPencil with it, or the Apple Pencil, sorry. You can use the Apple Pencil with it, but you have to have the right type of iPad, of course. Another well-known feature of the Apple brand is that they have Apple stores. So you can go in and try out the devices before you buy them. You can get technical support. You can even take classes. So I've taken several classes with Apple. I've learned how to use the camera and filters and different applications under their brand. It's really, really nice, the support that they give you, either in the store as well as on the phone. And for a lot of people that ask what smartphone should they purchase for their parents or for their grandparents, I would recommend an Apple device, because to me it seems like an easier device for older people to learn how to use. Of course, I have taught other older people how to use Android devices as well, but it seems like the Apple device is easier because it's a nice transition from an iPad, which they previously had experience with. Now let's take a look at the pros for Android devices. As mentioned earlier, you have way more freedom on the Android OS. So a lot of people like to root their devices so that they can have more creative features. They can also access side app stores. So it's so many different things that you can do on Android that you are limited on Apple. When it comes to the Android operating system, you also have more freedom of choice when it comes to devices. For example, you can get a Google Pixel that runs Android. You also have Nokia devices, OnePlus devices, and of course, their ever so famous Samsung devices that run Android. And if you are into Samsung, which I am definitely a fan, they have the folding phone. They also have the Note, which is a really beast of a phone. So if I'm going to upgrade to an Android, I would definitely get the Note again. And for you ringtone fans, you don't have to worry about being locked into the iTunes ecosystem if you are not on an iPhone. So if you're on Android, you can definitely download any music that you want and use it as a ringtone. It's also nice to not have to be tethered to iTunes, so you can drag and drop content on a PC when you're using Android devices. So if you want to drag pictures between device and computer, you can always do that. If you want to do the same thing with music files, etc., you have the freedom on an Android device. And instead of being stuck with a preset amount of storage, you can always expand your storage, so you don't have to use the Google Cloud, but it's always smart to do it, because if you lose your phone, then you'll have a backup copy in the cloud. But you also have the option of using an SD card to expand your storage. So if you want to save more pictures or music, this is your opportunity on an Android device. And then you are not limited to the types of chargers that you can use on Android devices. For the most part, they have USB-C cords, whereas with Apple, they have just their Apple cords that are only for Apple devices. So if you're out and about and you need a charge and no one has an iPhone around, then you're just going to have to buy a whole new cord. But for the most part, USB cords are typically easily found. And with many Android devices, they take advantage of the screen real estate. So Apple has notches on the top of their newer phones, but with the Android devices that they're coming out with, especially with Samsung, they do have more edge-to-edge screen. So you can see a lot more. It's a brighter screen. They do have that hole punch in it, which I'm still not a fan of, but for the most part, you don't have a notch. So that's pretty good. Another neat feature that several Android devices have, especially Samsung devices, is the always on display. So what that is it has the time displayed on your screen even though you're not touching the phone or the device. It can be laying on a table and you can look over and see what the time is without having to wake it up. And of course, that's not something that Apple phones offer at this current time. I know their watches do, but not the phones. So now the determining factor is left up to you. It depends on how much freedom you want with your device, how heavy a user you are, and basically how much you want to pay for a device. will make the determination as to which device you will choose. So if you all are an Apple, an Android, a Windows, etc. user, make sure to leave a comment below. So thank you so much for watching again. This is Erica. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to leave a comment. Make sure to subscribe to the Educated System channel, as well as share this video with your family and friends. So once again, thank you so much for the support. Bye.